very much worth talking about and reflecting on. So we're going to start by talking about the book that this lecture is based on, The Last Days of Socrates. It was a book that was written by Plato, and Plato was Socrates' disciple. And I don't know if you know about Plato, but he was the founder of the Academy, which was the first institution of higher education in the Western Hemisphere. And there's a lot more that we could say about Plato, but for now we just will introduce him as the one who wrote down the teachings of Socrates, because Socrates never really wrote down any of his teachings. So it's almost like an homage to Socrates. So specifically, we're going to focus on the Phaedo, which was the last book that outlines exactly what happened in the last moments of Socrates' life. So the setting of the dialogue is the impending death of Socrates. And if you don't know about his life and about his death, you may be wondering, wow, what's going on here? Why are his friends anxious over his fate? Why are they trying to help him escape from where? So what happens is that the story goes that the oracle at Delphi said that declared that Socrates was the wisest man in Greece. So naturally, when Socrates heard that, he said, well, I don't consider myself wise, only the gods have true wisdom. So he said, well, the god has spoken through the oracle and said these words, so I must prove the god wrong. So he went about trying to find someone that would be wiser than him. And he said, surely if there's someone wiser than him, then the oracle is wrong. So he went to a person that he considered very wise, and he started talking to this person. And soon enough, he realized that the person didn't really know what they were talking about. So he's like, okay, very well. He moved on to great mathematicians, same thing, great poets, great thinkers of Greece. And he saw the same thing. For example, in the poets, he said anyone could interpret their poems better than they do. And that was the case. So he reflected on this, and he realized that I am wiser than them in one respect. At least I am aware of my ignorance, whereas they don't know, but they think they know. So at least in that, I am wiser than them. Of course, he was being humble, because he really knew he was the wisest man in Greece. But from that, we have the saying that comes from Socrates: all I know is that I know nothing. So because he at least was aware that he didn't know about many of the mysteries of the world, and we see that even today. So many people think that they have things figured out, but there's such a mystery in nature that still, it's almost like a book to read from. So this is hello. I'm just giving a setting of the dialogue that we're basing this conference on. So naturally, he made a lot of enemies this way, because imagine having people of great renown thinking that they're very wise and somebody proving them wrong. And the young people would love to hear these dialogues go on, because at the end he would end up proving them wrong. So obviously he was not too popular, and a lot of powerful figures saw that as threatening, the fact that he was a threat to their power and reputation. And obviously he did this throughout his entire life. So at the time of his trial, he had more than one enemy that actually brought him to trial, because they were saying that he was corrupting the youth, because they would follow him around and listen to his dialogues and then try them on other people. So they were like, what is happening to our youth? And this trial was extremely unfair. And Socrates, he loved Athens so much, he held it as a place of wisdom. So he went through with the trial, even though it was very unfair. And even when his friends wanted him to escape, he said no, because he had such a strict sense of justice. It's almost, for us, it's difficult to think in such terms, because you know, in our society, it's more like oh, how can I get away with this? Like, how can I escape? Like, I mean, over there, like they had back then, it was such a sense of honor that they would even give them the poison for them to drink, and we're like, oh, like, you know, it was just different times, but it was a different sense of honor. So it's almost like we have to kind of like stretch our imagination to think in such terms, because it's very different nowadays. But so, and the truth of the matter is that he, with his friends' help, he could have easily escaped. Even the guard of the prison, he got to know him, and he was like, please don't make him talk so much, because he's gonna get startled. And so, like, it was incredible. He could have walked out of the prison if he wanted to, but it was his sense of justice that kept him from going against the laws of the city that he so loved. So he will explain to them. He explained to his friends why it is that he's not afraid of dying. The setting takes place throughout his dialogues as a teaching, almost like he's explaining what happens what happens after death. And if you think about it, this is not some faraway teaching that it's you know, extraneous to us. This is very much relevant to us. We also want to know what happens to us after we die. What happens? Is this life something big, something important, or just a moment? If the soul is indeed immortal, is it just one link in a chain that of our true soul existence, right? So he's going to try to answer this question. So we already more or less talked about his trial and the reason why he was brought to trial. And he even turned down asylum. They told him, okay, very well, you can go into asylum instead of death, but you have to promise that you're never going to teach again. So that went against his principle. So he said, so long as I live, I need to try to approach people and try to teach them the truth. He said, and the crazy thing is that if you do read his words, I mean, this is a book that you read and it's almost like you end up with tears in your eyes, because he said, I have approached each one of you with the question of what is most worth doing with your life, and I have done nothing for myself. And he also had a family. He also had you know, but he lived in poverty. He never even ever charged for his teachings or anything. So that obviously bothered a lot of sophists of the time. So, and he said, be not surprised, because nobody that speaks the truth in public could survive in the political ambit, which, you know, that's not so different from today. And he said that for them to even survive a short time, it would be very difficult if they were to go against, you know, lies and slander. So, and this is a famous painting that I wanted to show you. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It was on the flyers, The Death of Socrates, and each one of the people depicted are in his dialogues. And you see him pointing upwards, look towards the heavens. The interesting thing is that when he actually drank the poison, all his friends started crying. He said, what did I just tell you all about? I just told you the soul is immortal, and it's almost as if you haven't been listening to me. But he was really adamant about it. But obviously for them it was a great loss. They amongst themselves, they realized that they were losing the best man in Greece. So, and now we start with the Socratic dialogues. So when they started talking, his friends, the friends told Socrates, Socrates, we're afraid, we are apprehensive, because we don't know what happens with the soul. Like, is it true? It may be true, perhaps, as people say, that after the body dies, the soul disperses, somehow comes undone. So he's gonna. The interesting thing, which I absolutely love, because it's a different way to use logic. He's gonna use logic to prove his arguments. We see logic in computer design. We see logic in electrical design, but you can also use logic to explain these things. And to me personally, it seems it's very interesting, because he's really trying to make them understand. I mean, his love of people is such that he tries to find the best way to explain something, and I think that's a testament of how great of a master he was, of a teacher. and his legacy speaks for itself, absolutely. So, but before going into the proofs, let's analyze the argument of the friends, the arguments that they present, because it's very important to see it from their eyes. They're talking about the soul and the body, right? So as separate entities. So almost like the body is here and the soul is here, right? So it's something that we have to analyze, because sometimes we think that, oh, we're just a body, but the paradigm of Greek thought is that there is a soul that is separate from the body. So, and here I have inserted, okay, so we see that we have a body, but that's not all we have, right? The obvious difference between a body and a corpse is the energy that flows through it, right? I mean, just a basic difference. What's the difference between someone that's dead and alive? That, you know, the person that's alive has a pulse, like has warmth, like electromagnetic currents that translate into, you know, various phenomena. But also that's not all that we have, right? What else do we have? I mean, we're not just, we have what?
Thoughts.
Thought, exactly. We have emotions and we have thoughts. So